This is the TNT Podcast, and we're going with a small man crew tonight, but that does not diminish the quality of our podcast. We've got Tuna and we've got Sam. Say hello, everybody.
It's very well diminished. You got me on the chat. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Scraping the bottom.
It's AI, so I'm not even real.
Right,
so.
It's like if you got me on here, you must be doing something wrong in your life. You got to reevaluate your priorities.
Normally we've got 5-6 people, but everyone's got business meetings and taking the wife out for dinner kind of deals going on tonight.
They have lives.
My lives, yeah, true. Us losers just kind of sit back here. I just sit by the computer waiting for you guys to arrive after the last show. I just wait, patiently.
I thought our motto was TNT for life. That's what I thought. I have it tattooed across my chest, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I actually think I prefer that title.
There's a misspell. It's LYFE. It's close enough.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah,
LYFE.
All right, so another big week here in tech, guys. I know that right now this is the time of the year where we start to get all the interesting, crazy stories coming out. But I think we'll jump. And we always love a good AI story, and we've been talking a fair bit about AI on this channel as of late, and rightly so. It's a big, scary, terrifying thing that we either are going to be ruled by or we'll learn to destroy. I personally think we've learned nothing from the Terminator movies, but that's just me. But one of the things that we were going to talk a little bit about today. So Tude, we were just talking off air before we came on. You were mentioning something about AI. What were you talking about there? Remind me.
So Mr. Who's the Boss did release a video about AI, but it got me thinking about how advanced AI is getting in a short period of time. Every camera we have has got AI. Now we got ChatGPT. We got ChatGPT 4. You were talking about some apps last on Sunday. Yeah. I mean, the big thing is the government. I don't know if it's which government. I think it's a bunch of regulators, including I think Elon Musk is one of those people, calling to pause. I don't know if it's innovation or growth of AI because they're just scared of. Maybe we're moving too fast. I think we're a ways off from it turning back and attacking us because it's not really physical yet. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think we're a little far away from that. But yeah, it's interesting because there's a good side to AI, like, hey, it's helping us with everyday tasks and helping us do this and that. But the bad side is like schools, kids are using it left and right in colleges now to write their essays for them and help them with tests. And the schools aren't caught up enough where they can catch if it's however they're going to do it, and by the time they do, we'll be on to the next thing. Mr. Who's the Boss brought up a good thing. People say, well, calculators when they were invented, but calculator still requires you to have some kind of mental capacity of how to do basic math, whereas ChatGPT you just type, you have to know how to type, and you could say write my letter on this. It's crazy. I mean, whether or not that's do you guys ever? I'm not sure if you guys watch TV. There's a show called American Auto. It's a newer show. It's on Peacock.
Yeah.
Well, they had. I don't watch live TV. I watch it like days later. And the last episode, we just watched it before it came down, and they bought an AI bot. And a guy the whole joke was, they're like, it sounds too real. Another person's like, no, it's not. So they actually gave it to a guy and said, hey, here's a new potential employee. Interview them. And he spent 36 hours straight talking to the bot, thinking it was a real girl, and he started acting like it was his girlfriend. And so, granted, that's a leap, but that's how real things can get really quick. So it's interesting. Do you guys think that we should pause development or slow down development? Can we do that?
It's funny that you say that. It's because I know we were talking a little bit about the Amazon bot. What's that fucking thing called?
Astro,
thank you. I know you had Astro.
You have it, and it is not that great. It's Alexa on wheels, basically.
Yeah, Marquez, he released a video just this past week, and it was like, interesting tech gadgets, and Astro was on there.
Yep.
And he was saying, it's a bit creepy, but he was impressed by the audio tracking. He was saying that, like, when it hears your voice, it automatically knows where you are. And I find that interesting.
There's two things about that's really interesting. That thing can maneuver. It's only been stuck once, and that's because it was a toy of my dog's, and it was real thin, and it got lodged between the charger because it backs into the charger, and it didn't see it. That's the only time but it goes sweeping around corners, and if it sees you, it'll stop, and it'll go a different way. But when you say, hey, and you say so it's not Alexa. You can say Alexa, I believe, but if you say Astro, it turns and looks at the person who said it. And you'll say, but it's kind of, but what if it's party? Like, the thing is, when you first set it up, you walk around your house and it follows you around, and you say, "Hey, we're in the living room. Hey, we're in Piper's room, or we're in Joe's room." And then you could say, "Hey, go to that room," and it'll drive itself to that room. And it's got cup holders in the back, and you can. But
have you ever used the cup holders? Like, does it actually, like, if you get someone puts a beer in the back of that fucking thing, and you say take it to tuna.
So you set up facial recognition. It's not great. So like when I come home, if it sees me, it'll boing, it'll put a smile on its face and it'll say, "Good afternoon, Jason," or "I missed you," but sometimes it gets my daughters mixed up. But yeah, supposedly I said, "Go find my daughter." I said her name, and it started in the first room, and it just like it turns around with the fake face, like it's looking, and once it finds her, it says, "I found her." It goes right up to her and turns around. If you want to give it a drink, it'll turn around, so it's the butt of it goes right up. It's not that advanced. It sounds cooler than it really is, but most of the time it says. You'll hear it. It makes a noise when it moves. And it just says, "Hey, I'm coming to the living room to hang out." And it literally comes in the living room where you're at, and it sits there, and it makes noises. Like, you say, "Hey, Astra," it'll smile, and it'll boink, boink. It just kind of bobs its head and weird noises, and it goes away.
Retail price of Astra? Like,
so it's supposed to be $14.99 when it's released to the public. Early access is, I want to say it's $1,000. So it's $500 off.
I was thinking $499 tops.
Well, I would say if they sell it for $399, it's a hell of a deal. It's really the hardware is fantastic, but it's Alexa. I'm not. So I'm testing it right now. But they sent me an email saying after the 31st, like you could do this thing with Alexa where you say I'm away. It'll say going into guard mode. Please leave the house in 60 seconds. It'll drive around your house and it'll say, "Hey, I saw your dog," or unknown person in your house, and it has a camera that telescopes up. But now they're saying everything's behind a paywall. Now you can't put it in away mode unless you pay $6 a month. And I'm like, I haven't paid for the device yet. So if I have to start paying for those features, I'm going to say you can have it back. I already canceled my Prime account because they charged the wrong card, and I got Walmart Plus and it has Paramount Plus. So it's like I don't need Amazon stuff anymore, really.
Right.
But
it's
a cool device.
It's funny how they get you, eh? Like, here's this brilliant AI thing that we've made that's essentially like a robot vacuum with a face. But we want to give you all of the features except we want you to pay for it. And that's kind of like, and that's a big model with a lot of these companies now, is that, we want to draw you in. We want you to buy it, and then we'll just kind of roll back a few things.
You're right. You guys see that new Sony camera that came out, the EV1 or whatever? It looks like it's a badass camera, and it's got new AI software for tracking and making the video better. And there was a video, I think it's an Engadget or Verge. Somebody did a video, and the lady who's doing it says, "My old Sony from 2 years ago is my go-to, and the only thing you're missing is you're not paying $700 more." And you don't have the AI stuff. So you're paying more for AI. So all these companies are jumping into it. And you got to weigh the benefits. Is the AI worth the extra money? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. Sam, what are your thoughts on AI? Is this something we should be afraid of, or is it something we should embrace?
I think you should embrace it. I think, remember,
we're going to have to.
Remember, iRobot and the Terminator. I'm going to bring everybody up to speed on how this works, right? So the Terminator and iRobot and all that stuff, those are movies. Okay,
what?
Those are. I know that's not real. I know it's crazy, right? But they're not real.
Is Transformers real?
No, they may be. I'm just saying. I mean, let's everybody kind of pump the brakes here a little bit. It's like, and my question is Elon really wanting to ask to stop development because he's just got this "I want to take care of humanity" thing?
No, he's behind the 8 ball and he wants to catch up.
I don't know. Like I said,
that's my opinion.
And here's the thing: I've always lived under a very simple premise when it comes to this: is follow the money, right? Yeah. So follow the money because that's what's really going to drive everything, right? And that's why you have subscription models, because consumers have decided that they're okay with paying $2.99 a month for this, right? And $3.99 a month for this. I was like, I don't want to pay for cable, but I'm going to go ahead and pay for these 5 or 6 or 8 services because I want to watch Paramount Plus and Disney Plus
it's
and
ridiculous.
Apple Plus and Amazon Plus and all this other stuff. It's a lobster pot. So it's funny because if you break it into
I like that.
If you break it up into small pieces, it doesn't hurt as much. It's like the death of 1,000 cuts. But I tell people, and I said, this is just so with the AI thing, I'm okay with just it's going to go somewhere anyway. We're going to do cloning, right? We're going to do stem cell research, right?
Oh yeah.
We're going to do all those things. It's going to happen. You're going to have robots in your house at some point, and that's not a figment of your imagination. That's going to be like 25 or 35 years. That appears to be the future is now, right? So, and here's the thing. I look at this little Astro or Asmo or whatever this thing is called. I'm pretty sure this thing's not going to weaponize itself and kill.
No.
It's barely up to this guy's picture. I mean, now when you get full cybernetic, like robotic, like iRobot,
Skynet, right?
Skynet laws. Well, and then here's the thing. I mean, then I guess you've watched enough movies, you see how it's going to play out. Hopefully you have enough life insurance, but it's not going to matter because all governments are going to fail anyway, and you don't have to worry about your car loans anymore because it's all going to hell in a basket, right? So who knows? I mean, I think people need to kind of just they make movies for a reason. They made a movie about the robots being good and like helping you out and being, being assisting society. That'd be a pretty boring ass movie. Nobody's going to watch that. Yeah. But if we can get these things that have lasers and then Will Smith chasing through the city and catching a robot and, and that robot is like, oh my God, I love you. Don't shoot me in the face. I want to live and survive. It's like, yeah.
I think of our future as Idiocracy, the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. 100%.
More like that than Skynet right now.
And I find to be funny is that, if you go back into the 50s and watch videos about, hey, let's talk about the kitchen of tomorrow, right? It's the most weird, ridiculous thing ever. It's like, well, just because we're in this time now, we think because we have all this technology, we know what's going to be in 15 years. And you have no idea. Because, again, 150 years ago, nobody flew a plane. Yeah. It wasn't a thing. Flying a plane wasn't a thing. And now we're talking about manned missions to Mars in 25 years. Do you understand that's only been 150 years? And then the 8,000 years before that, we were basically fighting hand-to-hand combat. We only had like modernized weapons for like 200 years. Yeah. 300 years. I mean, seriously. I mean, everybody calm down. Let's I'm okay with AI. Yeah,
I think the media blows it up. I think people get scared because of the movies, and I get it. It is kind of a new time, but you got to be ready for change. And AI doesn't have to be a bad thing. We have input in this. We're the ones creating it. We can make it whatever we want it to be. But there's going to be those bad actors out there that are going to turn it. But that's true about anything. They say guns don't kill. Well, you're right, but the people who use them do. So guns can be a bad thing, and they can be a good thing. You can use it for hunting, or you can use it for bad things. That's everything goes that way.
Sorry
to go that way.
Let's just it's just. I mean, let's just kind of see where it goes, and it's going to be a thing anyway. And the same thing with academics. You mean to tell me now students are going to find ways to write papers that aren't legitimate?
They already did, right?
They already do that. There's been ways to do it, and it's like eventually. Here's the thing: if getting a college degree was about what you actually knew, no, seriously, when I went and I got my degree from a university, right? I didn't take an exit exam. They didn't ask me any questions about what I learned. Exactly. I didn't have to take an exam.
That's very true.
Yeah, I paid my money. They gave me a paper that says I'm smart. And all colleges is that for 4 years or 2 years or 8 years or 6 years, whatever you get, that you were able to follow instructions, pay money, show up on time, do some work, so that way future employers know at least you can do that much. Yeah, that's really it. Because when you get to your job as a teacher, you didn't learn how to be a teacher necessarily from school. Yeah, no, you learned how to be a teacher because you got the basics, and then you got there and found out what your flow is, what classes you teach, lessons plans.
Doctors have residencies for a reason.
Yeah, doctors and lawyers are different. We're talking about people like me and you who've got degrees in like management and education. You don't necessarily learn, and also I would argue that residents aren't as good as 20-year doctors and surgeons, right? It takes time to learn the craft. And you get, so, so kids are cheating in school and they're going to use ChatGPT. There's not a surprise. They've been asking people to write their papers for
cheating at school.
And here's the thing. You write a paper. Students don't know how to write anymore. No. Like ask them about citing sources.
Copy and paste.
Chicago and, like asking about Chicago format and MLS formatting and citing sources and all that stuff. They look at you like, what do you mean? I can't just copy this out of a book? No, it's not your thought, asshole. You can't copy that. It's somebody else's thought. You have to cite that as a
It's so funny. I was just going to say, I find it so funny that students of today who know nothing about word processing, like typing is just is foreign to them. Like unless it's a fucking text or a comment on Twitter, they know nothing. But yet they have to type it in order to access like ChatGPT. And yeah, sure, there's apps and stuff, but like you know, at the heart of it, you had to log on, you had to go on there, you had to type out what you wanted to say. I find that hilarious because now we're going back to what they need to know, right?
And
so it's, I just find it so funny that we're going back.
And at the end of the day, if you cheat yourself in school and you don't learn anything, then you're going to get to a workforce, and you're going to work with people who know that you don't know shit. And then, like I said, I was in a class. I took a marketing class. It was taught by a guy who's probably in his late 60s, maybe early 70s. And when we started the class, he gave the syllabus. He's talking about it. And so we're talking through it. He's going to lecture for 3 hours, and then you're going to take quizzes, and you're going to read chapters, and you're going to take notes, and then you're going to take exams. And they're graded, right? They're weighted, right? I think one of the kids, he's like, because they're my daughter's age, right? They're 20-year-olds raise his hand, goes, oh, so we're not going to get like a study guide or like slide decks? He's like, no, I'm going to lecture. You're going to read and take notes. Yeah. And then you're going to take a test and then take a midterm and then take a final. And you're going to do that. Like, I'm not going to give you anything. I'm giving you the lecture. Yeah. You need to read and do your work. And they're like,
that's what school was like.
Right. And half this class, the next week, half the class dropped.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm in for it, man. I mean, he wrote dude, old school overhead projector
with the bulb.
Nice. Dude, I was all in. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. This is like, I'm having like some kind of like a fucking flashback. This is exactly
when I was in college. It was like that transition phase where they're just starting to go to online classes, but they weren't really there yet. When I did my thesis in my master's degree program, I remember they harped on those freaking references so much that it was more of a pain in the ass to write the references out than it was to write the paper. You cite one word, like you got to write it. And there was a specific format for those references and what it had to be on. So nowadays, I mean, I don't remember all the details. I don't write that stuff anymore, but I would assume that kids just don't know how to do that anymore.
Right.
That's why I copy and paste.
Just getting back to what Sam said. Yeah. I was just going to say, like, getting back to what Sam said, Sam was talking, I mean, look, they're thinking about, like, the context of how far we've come, right? So I remember, like, my first year of university, you know, once upon a time in, you know, the dreams of Darren, I wanted to be a film director. So I took an intro to film course. And I remember in the intro to film course, he was showing movies on Laserdisc. You remember those massive CD-looking things?
Heck yeah, like, I watched Jurassic Park on one of those.
Context at home, right? Like... But I mean, that just goes to show you, and that was not that long ago. We're talking, you know, a decade, maybe just over a decade or less, you know, like we're talking, that's crazy. Like that, you know, we've come that far. But now here we are, it's 2023, and all of a sudden we've got, you know, a bot giving us content that we can use. I don't know.
Well, and as you pointed out on Sunday, now we have a therapist that's a chat bot.
Exactly, yeah.
Doesn't give us the best advice, but hey.
I mean, Tuna tried the therapist thing, but it like just said, you know, error, and just kept like, you know, repeating it.
I got blue screened.
It just kept saying, just do it. It kept saying, just do it. I'm like, no, I'm not Nike. I don't know what are you talking about. What's going on here?
Yeah. And like I said, and then I don't get into this whole like millennials, and you know, we had this conversation at work the other day about, you know, generational, you know, sensitivity and how do you talk to Generation X and Boomers and Millennials and, you know, whatever. I don't care. But I'm just saying, it's like, the way students learn today, they have a lot more resources and a lot more things available for them than we did when I was in grade school and high school. And I'm just saying is hashtag bring back the mimeograph machine. Do you remember the mimeograph where you take it and smell the ink? Everybody in the class would do that. And you had to like sit there. And I was always a bad student and I was always kind of like a knucklehead. So I was always the one who had to sit there and do the hand crank, right? And you put the little carbon on, you crank out, you know, everyone. And then they got an automated one where you just push a lever and it was like, I was like, whoa! And then of course, they found like I just was cleaning toilets after that point. So, but it's not bad or good necessarily. Everyone's like, well, these kids don't have to do like long math, so they're not smart. It's like, no, but you would have done the same thing if in 1985, if I would have had access to that, everybody would have leveraged that. It just wasn't there. I mean, now I know how to use the Dewey Decimal System, and the kids are like, a Dewey what? I'm like, oh, never mind. It's fine.
The same thing with, it's just like music. You know, when your parents were young and your parents were like, oh my God, this music, this rock and roll. Now it's this rap. Yeah, rap is bad, but so was the rock then. You know, so you got to look at. You can't look at it.
You know, it's at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see. But a lot of those manual processes and the things that we had to do because we didn't have technology to assist us, like having to actually, how many times? First of all, who gets a textbook now? And if you do, who's actually taking a highlighter and actually highlight? Nobody's doing that now.
No, I had to resell my book. I never did that. I would resell it.
I did it in my class, and I was like, the kids looked at me like I was like a dinosaur. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm taking notes, and I'm like, I looked at this guy, I'm like, I'm down for that shit. Let's do it, man. And of course, I got a B, and that was a hard-earned B. Now, if you want to drop the class, but and then go find somebody who's gonna. But I mean, I'm okay with that. Like I said, at the end of the day, we've sold an entire generation that they have to go to college in order to be a successful person in the world, and it's not true. It just isn't true.
Just be a YouTuber. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'll tell you right now. TikTok. In 15 years. You're not going to have enough truck drivers, enough electricians, enough tradespeople. Do yourself a favor. Walk into a high school now and get the senior class in an auditorium, not online. Actually, sit them in an auditorium and tell them how many people in this school would be considering military career or a trade, like pipe fitter, whatever, plumbing, electrician, carpentry, whatever. I swear, if you see in a normal school, like a suburban school, if you see more than 5 hands raised, I would be amazed. Now, as you go into like middle Missouri, like where I live, you're going to see a lot more hands go up because those kids, that's what they do. They're I mean, and the problem is Amazon, all the stuff you order, nobody's going to be able to deliver it because we still do trucks and rail and still, you still need water in your house and plumbers have to do that. And I know is a plumber who makes $150,000 a year, doesn't work that hard. And he's got zero debt, zero. Now, is it glamorous? No. Is he a plumber? No. Yeah. Is he installing toilets and doing plumbing and running lines? Yeah. Can he leverage that into an OnlyFans account? No, he can't. But when these kids say, I can't afford a job at 23, I know 3 kids right now who are 23 years old who are apprentice carpenters that are making $25 an hour to learn.
Well, they
don't have any problem affording an apartment.
Well, you get that prevailing wage, and they can shoot to $40 an hour.
Right,
I mean, it's crazy.
Just saying, I'm just telling you, it's like
I know.
We've sold an entire 2 generations that the only way to be successful in this world is to be a college graduate. And I think that pendulum's going to start to swing a little bit. And maybe ChatGPT and AI because it's so easy, everybody's going to realize that all it is a business, and you're just basically buying a degree, so that way it says you're smart. But
someone's going to monetize it. Someone's going to monetize it somehow. They already have. They started to already.
I'm just saying, it's just the new world, and we just have to. It's going to be a lot thrown at us because these things are going to happen. Like now, it's going to be lightning fast. Like as soon as you get your head wrapped around this, it's like boom. Now we're in Laserdisc to CD to HD DVD to Blu-ray. To now you just get shit streamed to your house. Blu-ray. Who's buying a Blu-ray?
Well, it's funny, Charles in the chat here. Charles CDT, he just mentioned he was pissed when his mum got rid of the encyclopedias, and she said it's all online. Get over it.
When I was young, my dad had a 1X CD-ROM drive connected to his X86 PC, and that's when they had the Britannica, or not Britannica, whatever, Encarta. And that thing would sound like a freaking jet engine spinning, and it took 4 hours to load a video, but we thought that was the coolest thing ever.
When I was a kid, I remember you had a guy that would sell you encyclopedia, and you would come by, and it was the World Book Encyclopedia, and they would come to your house, and it was expensive. It was like $1,000.
I remember that.
There was multiple books,
and every year you had to buy the updates because they had to new shit happened in the world. So, and I wish I had the World Books. They were from like 1981. And I had A to Z and the index, right? And my mom spent a ton of money. I just think it's hilarious because that's the way it used to work.
I think like young people today, if you were to tell them that someone came to your door with a fucking pack of books that weighed 4 tons that were labeled A to Z, and you had to flick through them with your finger to find the one thing that you were looking for, they would think we fucking live.
Hold on. First off, we have smart doorbells. No one's going to answer the door if they don't recognize the person.
That's true.
It's like your phone. If you don't know the number, you're not answering it.
Right there, right?
We don't need AI.
Yeah. Or I mean, same thing, vacuum. My mom bought her Kirby vacuum cleaner. It was a door-to-door salesperson. He walked up and he had the whole thing, and you bought a vacuum cleaner. Like, who? It's like, again, it's just, I'm not saying I want to go back to those times because those times clearly sucked. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm only 19, so I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. You might want to. I'm totally confused.
I'm just saying. But to basically dump on millennials and give this chat GPT thing and try to suppress that and first of all, you're not going to effectively do it because there's money to be made there. People really want to develop this technology, and so nobody's going to
cash in.
Elon Musk said. You can tell him to go fuck off because
people are going to cash in right now while they can, while the iron's hot, and they're going to jump in.
People can write the code on their own. That's the beauty now. You don't need
ChatGPT can do it for you. They can do it for you.
I mean, you can sit down if you have enough code experience and you can mess with enough. A 19-year-old kid can write the next app or the next code.
Yeah, a 10-year-old kid can do that stuff now.
So it's like, I mean, you're not going to stop that. It's too late. We're way past getting that genie back in the bottle. It's done. So it's okay.
It's gone.
Let's move forward.
Well, it's funny that you guys said that because there was an article that came out today on The Verge talking about the website BuzzFeed. So for those of you who frequent BuzzFeed, it's an interesting source of information. But an article came out saying that they've been using AI. I'm assuming it's probably like ChatGPT or something along those lines to create clickbait travel guides. And you can actually click on. There's actually a link to their website to where it shows you a collation of all the ones they've written. But we're talking about something that's never been to these places. Like this is based on the information it's gathering up from. I'm going to assume many sources, probably Expedia reviews and photos on Google and all of that other stuff. But it's putting together these travel guides, telling people to go to these countries that this robot has never gone to. Right. So I find it crazy that that's happening. And it's funny. Like I'll read you some of the titles here. Right. Like so it's like Morocco. The city, the sights, and the Sahara. Like, okay, cool. The ultimate list of underrated travel destinations, 42 must visits for 2023. 42? Who the fuck is traveling 42 places in a single year? Unless you're fucking Elon Musk.
Well, maybe they're not traveling for it, but that's giving you some options, right? But I'll tell you what I always do is whenever I'm traveling internationally, and if you don't have this website, you might want to go to it. The State Department's travel advisory. Do yourself a favor. You might want to look at that because there are places that you think are really good destinations, and they want to be level 3 on the State Department's travel advisor list because of kidnappings and crime and everything. So just, reconsider travel. And some are straight ass do not travel. Like they're just like, nope, don't go there.
Don't go here or you will die.
Yeah, I think,
right.
Again, I don't think anybody expects that somebody's going to travel like to 42 countries, but maybe, you see something, you're like, wow, I never thought about traveling to Denmark because it's not like a place I think about, right? Or Scandinavia or Burma.
None of you guys are in Wisconsin, right? Is I got that right? Okay. Because
I just laughed. Very famous.
I cannot confirm nor deny. No.
Oh, sorry. Yes. I like read you. So this one made me fucking laugh because, again, I'm just reading through some of the titles that this AI has created. So this one is Door County, Wisconsin, a nature-loving, food-snarfing heaven. I don't know what the word snarfing means. I don't actually know if that is a real word. It might be.
Yeah.
Ask ChatGPT.
No, you know what a snarf is? Is when you laugh and shit comes out of your nose. Right.
But what's that got to do? Oh, so what does that got to do with food, though?
Well, you're eating something and you're either having a great experience or somebody makes you laugh and it's called a snarf. That's at least I understand it to be a snarf. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, sure, it's a word, but what a bizarre title. Like, why would an AI create something like that? Is that
because we created it? It's kind of like they were talking about who's the boss when he was talking about how the Bing integration of ChatGPT got kind of. It was arguing with people. He pointed it out and showed screenshots. Yeah. You create AI and it's based on humans. It's going to be like us. It's going to learn from us. It could be racist. It could be mean. It could be argumentative. I mean, that's who we are. You look at social media, it's very toxic. If it's pulling information from social media, it's going to be toxic.
Well, I looked up snarf on Urban Dictionary. It says to eat or drink quickly or greedily. So that's what a snarf is.
Greedily.
Greedily.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, greedily.
Well, listen,
Greedily. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. They're saying you're gonna get the food's so good, you're just gonna like inhale it, basically.
Yeah, it's just gonna go down.
I was thinking
we have a
cheese,
sandwich spot.
Wisconsin.
The funny thing is, we have a sandwich shop in St. Louis called Snarf's, ironically. So who knows? It's pretty good.
Eat there greedily, okay? Eat there greedily, for sure.
Again, I just find it funny that, like, I mean, listen, as I mentioned, BuzzFeed is by no means and it's an entertaining place to go and waste some
Top notch. What are you talking about?
Top notch, right? I mean, it isn't as good as onecutReviews.com, but like the rest are pretty good. But yeah, just BuzzFeed using AI to generate content for the website. I mean, I guess the big question is, right? Like, just to kind of wrap up the stuff here on AI, when do we know we've lost?
When you can make emoji rain.
Oh, there we go, and that's it. That shit just keeps coming down, eh? One time after.
Well, I think it's never going to be enough. We're going to keep, like Sam was saying, we just got to roll with it. The good and the bad. It's going to be both. If we're smart enough, which we've been for hundreds of years, well, not always, but we've made it this far.
And if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, I always tell people, it's like, you know what? We're kind of, as a society and as a universe, as an earth, as people, we're kind of begging for a factory reset, aren't we? Really?
We are.
I'm kind of begging
any moment now.
I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying. And I got daughters who are 21 years old, so I mean, I clearly want a world for them.
Right.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I'm the one who still has some optimism. If you talk to those two, they make it sound like it's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome or some shit. I'm like,
that's because social media blows everything out of proportion.
That's
right.
Always bad news 24/7.
No, I mean, I don't know about that. I just think that when you start to believe that you've been told, but they don't have. They're 21. All they've seen is this little bit. I've seen a war where the Cold War existed. Yeah. They talk about China. I remember the Soviet Union, and they were the boogeyman, right? Yeah. They were, I remember. I wasn't there, but I remember things like that.
I wasn't there.
I wasn't alive in '63.
I thought he said he was there. Did he say he was
there? Did you know Bubba?
No. But what I'm saying is, as you get older, you realize that all the stuff they're talking about, it's not new. Oh, interest rates. No. I can't afford my food. Do you realize in the late 70s, interest rates
went through this,
fucking %?
Well, in the 80s,
it's not new. It's not new.
It was, right.
It's not new. And again, we had the
new
boogeyman.
To them. It's new to them.
You had the boogeyman.
Yeah.
The Soviets, right? Yeah. The Soviets had the boogeyman. It was the United States, right? We had the China.
Yeah.
Like, all the things that we're talking about that are currently, I'm 23 and I can't afford a house. I couldn't afford a house either at 3. I was making $4.50 an hour. What are you talking about? Who's buying a house?
Yeah.
Oh, I had 6. I had 6 houses at 24.
Yeah, that's not saying that.
He's 19 and he's got 6 houses.
Right. And I'm not saying that gap isn't widening, but it's like one of those things where it's like, though people struggled back then and had way less resources and way less access to information than they do now.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of take the good with the bad is what I'm saying. It's a different 100%. World, but it's the same.
It's called life. It's called life.
Well,
interesting. So I think it might be time to talk about the death in the room. The pour one out for the end of an era. Some will argue that maybe the era closed really quickly, but Lenovo has come out and said they're no longer making gaming phones.
They make gaming
Legion
phones?
phone is done. I know. Who's Lenovo?
I know Lenovo. Actually, Legion game phones were never sold in the U.S., so I know I'm speaking just for me. They looked cool, but I like to import phones, but that's one of those phones I never tried to import. I just never did because I like gaming phones, Red Magic, Asus ROG, but those phones are more available to us. When they're just based on Chinese ROMs and they don't have Google Play services, I'm kind of out. I know I'm trying to get to Oppo here, but I can get Google Play on that, and it should work here. But with the Legion, I mean, it is sad for the Western market, or I should say Eastern, side of the world. But pour one out for the homies. I mean, like you said, I mean that's what you got to do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting listen, I don't think they really captured much of the market share, but it makes me kind of wonder who has been then. So I know a lot of the Asus, the ROG gaming phones, they've done very well. And I mean, you've dealt with Red Magic. What was your experience with the Red Magic phone there?
Every year the first one I had was terrible. Software was gross.
Yeah.
The worst thing about them is just software support, which you're going to get with those kind of phones. But it was sold. I don't think Asus ROG phone. Well, they do have a global version that's sold in the US, I guess. I mean, the big thing is Red Magic had Google Play services. I had some kinks, but as the years went on, they've gotten much better. The worst thing was software support. They guaranteed maybe one OS update and maybe 1 or 2 years, but it was fine. But it also was like it's like $650, which sounds like a lot of money, but for a topped out phone, that's not very much compared to the Samsungs, the ghetto Androids, and the immaculate iPhones out there. You know, it's a deal.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. I mean, I think there's other people have stepped into the space, and I think, to be honest with you, I really think what it really is, I don't think these other gaming phone companies have captured more of the market.
No.
I feel as though smartphones now have gotten so good, you can game on them now. Like if you think about like the S23 Ultra, the iPhone, like a lot of these mega hyped up, top of the line, flagship phones, they all do that now. There's just no need to have a gaming centric phone, right? They look pretty.
Well, like Sam said, it's all about money. Lenovo's not making money on Legion phones. They're just not.
No,
so
exactly.
They're cutting their losses. It's like Google, Apple, they're all cutting where Apple's not apparently. But, most of these companies are making cuts, Microsoft, where they can because times are hard. Whether or not the S23 is the best phone ever, it's not going to be in the top 10 best-selling smartphones. It won't be for a while. And not saying they're not making money. It's just that's their breadwinner. So I think it's more of a financial decision. I don't think I mean, I from what I've read, I've never played with one. The way they were set up to be played vertically, they were beautiful. They had touch pads on the back. But you're right. Most in combination with most current phones having the same processor, same cooling, same screens, if not better. They just don't look gamerish. I mean, you could throw a case on anything, make it look like a gaming phone if you really wanted
exactly.
to. I mean, Sam's a gaming phone expert. He probably knows more about it than anybody here.
No, not a gaming phone expert, and I wouldn't buy one. And again, it's one of those things where, I mean, I cannot tell you one time in my public exposure when I'm walking around have I ever seen anybody with a Red Magic, Black Shark, any of those.
Nope, you're right.
Yeah,
ROG phone, never, zero times, zero. You just so I mean, it's like
I think the good thing about that is like when I have the Red Magic, it's like, oh, what kind of phone is that? Like I don't want to show it off like, oh, I'm cooler because usually they're cheaper phones.
Yeah,
it's just getting that awareness. Hey, there's other phones besides Samsung and Apple. There's other companies out there making phones.
No, and here's the thing. I'm okay for awareness and I'm okay for all that, but I mean, I've had duos for 2 years and I've had hundreds of people ask me about it. Do you think they're actually they just because they're interested? They're not buying.
Yeah,
they're not going to go.
I'm not telling them buy. Yeah.
Well, and they're not even going to remember it as soon as they walk away from you. If you ask them 30 minutes after they met you, they would not even remember the experience just about the phone
already.
They would remember you and had your interaction. But
look at me. I mean, they're not going to forget this face.
Right.
I mean,
but the phone itself, it's like it's one of those things where at the end of the day, it's like in the United States, it's going to be iOS, it's going to be iPhone. It's going to happen eventually. It's already happening now. You've lost LG, you've lost HTC, you're losing Lenovo gaming phones. Oppo's not coming to
done. I mean, they are done, but are they officially done?
Again, in the United States, you're not going to find anybody who's rocking an HTC anything. You're not going to find any of that stuff. You're going to find Samsung.
I actually feel as though
I see a lot of Samsung and Pixel phones lately. So
HTC, if they were to make a legit push comeback, I almost feel like the nostalgia of a lot of people first met. A lot of the first Android phones were HTC phones, right? I almost feel like they could do a kind of Google kind of thing where come back with something that put all your cards on the table and say fuck it, let's just see what we can do.
Well, if you're going out, you might as well go out with a bang and see what happens. But I think most of the like Sam said, most of HTC fans or Android fans, if there were any left from HTC, moved on to other Android phones or iPhones, and they moved on. But I have been noticing a lot more Samsung devices, and I've actually seen. I was like I said, I went on that trip today with kids that were preteen. I'm thinking I'm gonna see all iPhones. Out of the 45 kids I saw, I think I saw 10 Motorola phones because they're cheap, probably.
Yeah.
And I saw a handful of like iPhone X or XRs or maybe an 11.
10s.
But what's funny is the Motorola phones had like basic cases and they weren't scratched or broken, but every iPhone had a cracked case and a cracked screen. It was crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
no one was arguing.
Yeah, I had my Pixel the other day at my physical therapy, and of course, it shows you the song that's playing, and the kids thought it was cool. And but I looked at them, I said, "But you won't know this because you both have iPhones," and they were under 20, and they didn't even blink an eye. Well, of course, and the funny thing, and I had Juan on our Juan Carlos Bagnell on our podcast, and he said basically under the age of 25, it's iOS. It's done. They 100%. Aren't coming to they're not going to leverage Android. You might get a handful here and there, one-offs, everyone. But I'm telling you, in the United States, there is no competition in the Android space, and nobody's leveraging flagship level Android devices except hardcore enthusiasts, Samsung Knights, and the occasional person that's going to maybe take a stab on iOS, use Samsung S23 Ultra for like a year or two and say, fuck it, and going back because they're going to be a young person that's going to get pressured into using it. They're going to, it's too weird and they don't like it. And that's the end of it. And I know you laugh, but where are all,
no.
iPhone is growing and every Android OEM is dying.
I agree with you. I'm just in the back of my head, I'm thinking of King. Him chiming in, just screaming and yelling.
It's the truth. I mean,
it's the truth. I can't.
Look at Oppo. Everyone's like, "Well, Oppo should come to the United States." They're never fucking doing that.
Why?
Ever.
They're never going to.
It's not happening.
Look at the OnePlus equivalent that we have. It's OnePlus, and they're not doing anything.
And so, awesome.
Shouting out.
But it's like, can we just quit? We did it with BlackBerry. BlackBerry then came off BB10 and went to Android, and nobody fucking bought them, and they're gone. So that nostalgia play is done. WebOS is done. All that stuff is gone. Just Windows Phone's done.
King, to quote King, and he might appreciate this if he listens in later on tonight. I think he said last week Tim Cook can suck his nuts or something along those lines. I think,
no, Tim Cook can pay somebody to suck his nuts because Tim Cook ain't fucking nobody's nuts. He's too rich.
No.
Rich people pay people to do that kind of shit. So I mean, good luck to you. But I mean, again,
listen. Speaking of Apple, I think we should talk a little bit about. So Apple has their spring event coming up, and you've probably seen all of the photos,
the AR, VR stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the Apple has. They're like, they know the date like this. Oh, April 5th. It's like there's somebody. It's like it's somebody's fucking birthday. It's like I couldn't tell you what day it was. I don't even.
I thought it was in June. It's in June, right?
No, he said April
5th. It's coming up June 5th.
I was gonna say April 5th. Damn, that's next week.
Sorry, I got the time wrong. But just to kind of give you some context here, I'll show you what I'm referring to. This is their marketing picture here, which you can see up on screen right now. So from what the rumors are, is that this is a representation of an AR/VR lens, right, which is designed curved in a particular way to be immersive to the consumer. So, the running rumor, the running thing here is that Apple is poised to release a AR/VR headset. Now, what's interesting about it is what they're thinking of calling it. So I'm going to give you guys a guess. Don't look this up online. Tuna, what do you think they're going to call their AR/VR headset? I'll give you a clue. It's 2 words.
It has to have an I in it somewhere.
No, it doesn't. But it does.
Apple VR. It's Apple. I don't know. Apple something. I have no idea. I don't even want to pretend because I'll make fun of them.
What's
Apple
the
reality.
douchiest reality VR name you can come up with?
I don't know. I mean, like Apple Experience. Apple Experience.
I like the way you say it too.
It's my Apple Experience. It's my Apple Experience. I'm experiencing my apples. Sorry. Or pears.
Hi, Bunny. What's going to be the name of
whatever.
headset? Don't say it out loud if you already know, because I know you're an Apple fan.
Retina visor? Oh, is that it?
Oh, hell
that's
no.
Not it.
Oh, that's good though. I'd probably buy a Retina visor. I don't know.
Yeah. I need to think a little.
Retina reality or.
So there are 2 names that are suggested it could be called. So the rumors are pointing that it could be called either the Reality Pro, or the Reality One. That's
Reality
One names.
I think it's a virtual. We're taking all your money. I think that's what it's going to be called.
Yeah.
Reality One seems I feel like the better option. I'm not sure if it's
Reality One I think is the better option. It gives me a bit Ready Player One vibes, which I kind of dig.
But technically, according to Sam, aren't we already in Apple's reality? This is Apple. We are in the Apple reality. So why did it call it actual reality? Apple's actual reality.
Okay, so but it gets better. It gets better.
Of course.
So I'm going to give you some spec sheets. You tell me the price. Ready? M2 chip.
Okay.
Dual 4K displays.
True 4K?
Advanced body tracking.
Is it true 4K?
Free input. Give me a price.
Wait, stop. Hold on. Advanced body tracking. What was the last thing you said?
I'll read it to you again. Sorry, it was M2 chip, dual 4K displays, advanced body tracking, and a controller-free input.
So is it showing you? Is it watching your eyes like a lot of the new VR headsets? So I'm going to say
I don't know. So give me a ballpark figure.
Starting at the low price of $34.99. $3,499 for the base at 64 gigs of storage.
No,
in yellow, banana yellow.
I'm going to say $19.99. Yeah, $2,000.
Okay. All right, Bonnie?
Yeah, probably around $3,000.
Yeah, should be a number.
I'll have to go with Sam on this one.
Yeah, it's
so about $3,400?
$9,000.
No. $19.99.
Wait. I'm bidding $1. Bob, $1.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wait, I got the balance.
So basically, they're saying that it's going to cost $3,000 for the Reality VR Reality One headset from Apple. I feel like that's a little overpriced when you can buy like those, when you can buy like a HTC Vive, is it whatever it's called there for?
But people are paying $800 for an Ultra watch, and granted, it's made really well. And it's a nice watch, but it's basically an iPhone in a bigger, harder case. So people are gonna pay. And Apple just happened to release that new thing where you can buy now, pay later. I think it's 4 payments up to $2,000, $1,000.
I think that's why. I have a funny feeling. Yeah. I have a funny feeling that buy now, pay later thing is coming in right before this $3,000.
You guys have Apple credit? Do all you guys have Apple Pay with Apple credit card? Because I don't have it.
Yeah. I don't have an Apple credit card. No.
No, I don't have Apple Pay either.
Okay.
I just use Apple Pay.
I've used Apple Pay. I mean, it's good. But I mean,
so is Samsung Pay.
Remember Google Pay?
It's still there.
Yeah.
Google Wallet.
I used it today. Yeah,
I did too. And I used my
is it
Samsung Pay
or
too.
Is it still called Google Pay?
It's like
everyone still calls it that, but it's confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, who gives?
It's Google confusing things.
And here's the thing: I will tell you that it will sell, and I'm going to tell you how Apple's going to do it, because you're going to be able to go into a carrier store and you're going to be able to add it to your carrier plan. Because
just like the watch or the iPad.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're going to do. And here's the thing. Apple, AT&T, Verizon, all these places are going to jump all over because it's going to get people. I mean, have you ever do yourself a favor? Go into a mall that has an Apple store and just look at it.
Yeah.
There's always 60 people in that place.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
All the time.
Is it repairs? Is it learning? Is it shopping? It's all that shit. It's like, you look at your, there used to be a Microsoft store literally in the mall across the street. And there'd be like 5 people in there because, I'm just saying, it's like, and every time I go by an Apple store, I walk by it, there's always a ton of people.
Here's funny about this. I've never been into a Microsoft store. I've never been to a store with a Samsung experience. And I've never been into an Apple store. I don't. Where I grew up, it was a more metropolitan area. There were more malls, but that was before Apple stores. And then I moved to the middle of nowhere where there's fields all around me. There ain't no Apple store. The closest Apple store to me is an hour and a half away. So I do everything online. So, but you're right. Apple has this cult following where that you walk by that store. I don't care if you're buying anything. You're in there looking around. Going to the geek bar.
That's what I'm saying. I think the $3,000 price tag is going to be either broken up by payments because nobody's going to drop $3,000, or they're going to find a way to leverage it into a carrier store, and carriers love it because it works for them. It drives traffic.
Yeah.
Even if they don't come in and buy it, just to come look at it, and while they're there, sell them a case. While they're there, you need a new charger. Hey, while you're there, I was looking to upgrade, and I was kind of on the fence about it, but since I'm here.
Hey, my screen's dirty. I heard you guys have a really cool cleaning cloth. Do you have one of those too?
Now, this is not an against 2&A because I love them to death.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You hear that comment? That snarky comment that Android people do? That's fine. If you're going to live in that world, then shut up and fucking shit on
I do have it. Well, you're right. But I have an iPhone too. I live in both worlds. I prefer Android, but I have an iPhone because I want to know how to use it. My work phone's an iPhone, and I have
mine is too. Because they gave it to me, and I'm not gonna. I don't install
apps on it because I sold the 14 Pro, but I still have my 14, which I barely use.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you're right. And here's the thing: it's like if I tell it's like people who complain about baseball salaries. It's like, oh yeah, you'd walk away from $35 million a fucking season. Yeah, you'd be above that shit. Oh yeah,
yeah, really.
I would just take the league minimum at $295. Yeah, I'm good. I mean, it's it's like. I mean, I tell people it's like all these people who are playing football in Europe and like Premiership and stuff. They're making money and millions of dollars. Yeah, in the NBA, max contracts are $35 million a season. Yeah, you would be above walking. You would just go, you know what?
Yeah,
I care about the team. I just
need 36.
Give me $1 million a season, so that way you can give that money to somebody else who thinks he puts up three points in two and a half minutes a night. Like, yeah, fine, give him $30 million. What world do you live that people do that?
Well, when LeBron James started playing basketball, the Cavaliers reached out to me first and wanted me to play for him. I said, I prefer living a life of a lower.
I'm actually into lacrosse, so I'm good. I'm good, dude.
I'm in lacrosse.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, I'm seeing it's like, it's the same thing. Like people buy Rolexes when they could buy a Seiko. People buy Maseratis when they could buy a Corolla. It's like,
status.
You get to tell people what to spend their money on.
Exactly.
And so if they want to go out there and they want to spend...
It's a sensitive subject for me right now. After the
well, me too. My daughter crashed hers on
can you, Darren, can you turn off your camera tonight? I want to make a... I heard there's a firmware update coming to the cameras tonight.
Listen... for the listeners at home...
almost got your car, that cat. I saw that cat.
Yeah. I know. So for the listeners at home, my car this past week was broken into. Well, this is the fun, part of this story. They didn't get into the car. They just fucked up the handle enough that it cost me $1,400 to fix it. And then just 2 nights later, which was just last night, another person in our neighborhood decided to go from car to car. Now, this was a different situation, maybe not going directly for the car itself, but was just trying to get into open cars and steal whatever they could very easily. Mm-hmm. And it's a big problem here where I'm located in Toronto. And, cars are a pain in the ass. They are, especially, if you get a nice one, do what you can to protect it.
If you would sell your S23, you could pay for that. But unfortunately, Samsungs don't hold their value, so you can only get half of $1,400.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
That's why
it's been a pricey week for Darren here.
Sam, that was kind of mean to Android, wasn't it? I need to watch myself. I'm going to all over the place today, aren't I?
You got to be careful. King's listening. I know he's listening. He's going to come after me, Tuna.
I know.
That's why I like older cars. Like I like old. I say junky cars that look like they're ready to fall apart.
Well, and if they break into it, you're not losing anything.
No, because they tried to break into my van, and the only thing that they threw in the back was the owner's manual. I'm like, what are you gonna do with that? You have a perfectly
at least you got that back.
You have a perfectly good Mercedes down the street, and you decide to go to a van that leaks coolant and oil basically all the time and likes to overheat when idling. And you decide to go to this. And I told my mother, if you want to steal my van, you ain't going to go for it because that thing's going to stall out and shut down as soon as
When you say older van, is this like one of those shaggin' wagons?
Oh, yeah, it's a panel van. It's it's an Econoline, Ford Econoline with
don't be dry. And don't drive around asking kids for candy or giving them candy, okay? That's kind of creepy.
It was an 08 Grand Cherokee.
Sam's like, oh, God, this went south quick.
During the pandemic, guess what happened to the transmission as I was driving by? It literally just exploded like bang. And then it was just,
thieves are going to steal what they want to steal whenever they want to steal it.
I mean, the transmission blew up.
Yeah. It was a Chrysler.
Yeah,
there you go.
Even worse.
That thing was clattering like crazy.
I guess my question is, Karen, what kind of car? You could buy a whole fucking door for $1,400.
Yeah, really. What the hell did they do to your car?
What the fuck is that?
The problem is, when they tried to break into the car, they used. I'm going to assume like some kind of big metal tool, maybe a crowbar, something.
Okay.
They broke the handle itself, but they also broke the cylinder, which allows you to also use a key instead of a key fob.
Okay.
And it's the internal parts of the lock and the door lock that they really quite damaged quite a lot. And that, unfortunately, is not an easy thing to replace, nor is it a very...
What year is it? What year is the car?
It's 2022, so it's
that might explain it too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so I mean,
me being a schmuck, I would go find that car and go look at a junkyard and go fucking look for a driver's side door, and I would replace the fucking door myself.
Yeah, but those lock cylinders, knowing him, it has to match up to the VIN. You got to get it coded, something weird like that with these new cars.
Like
I'm sure.
And that's why it's nice to get like an old 06 Camry, because that way,
like
you
Bonnie was saying.
Yeah, you can just basically replace parts, and but
we had
I was just going to say, for those who are listening, here is a good lesson for the people that have just bought a new car. So when I bought my car, the owner, or I guess the salesman, said, buy yourself an old school 80s club that goes across the steering wheel.
Oh, God, the club.
Now, hear me out. I laughed for 10 minutes. I thought he was fucking joking.
No, I see him all the time now.
And laughed. We had a good joke about that. That was what saved the car from getting taken. They saw the club was over the steering wheel and they couldn't be fucked taking it off.
You know why? Because they're like, what the hell is that thing? They had no idea what that thing was.
You know what I got, Darren? I have a manual transmission.
That's all you need. Yeah.
It's like, I ain't touching it.
Also, I read a news report today that these 2 teenagers were arrested because they tried to steal someone's car, but guess what was wrong with it?
No
manual.
engine?
It was
that's what he said.
Remember, anybody under 30 can't really drive them, and everybody over 30 is not going to fucking hassle with it.
Well, lesson number 2, if you have a garage, you can park your car in the garage and close the door at night. I'm kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, street parking is dangerous, especially, we got areas in St. Louis that are where car thefts and car break-ins are, and even downtown, people not even living downtown, they just go downtown for an event like a Cardinal game, or they're just going for a music event or just dinner, and they come back and the entire parking lot has just been, they busted all the windows out because it's an easy grab and nobody's going to prosecute anybody. They can grab handfuls of things and whatever, and cell phones and car stuff and fuck, or just breaking windows just for the sake of breaking windows. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, Charles just said it's a
the
TikTok challenge.
The Kia. You know what's sad about this?
Is that the case?
Yeah, Kia. You could use a USB cable to start them to take that.
And not only the Kia, but it's Hyundai. Same thing. This is the same.
Right.
Both companies.
And now insurance agencies aren't covering some insurance companies are refusing to insure certain vehicle models because of that issue. Now, Kia and Hyundai have both come out and said they've done software updates to fix it. I don't know how they can do that. It's got to do something with the key not being entered, in the actual cylinder lock.
Like the mobilization. When you turn the key.
And that's sad because Kia and Hyundai have come a long way, and they've been doing really well. And like every big company, they have like Samsung with their exploding batteries, or whatever.
Yeah, my wife has a Santa Fe, and it's under that same issue. So
Kia had their exploding. I think their engines that had an issue where a line would break and it would hit the engine, it would cause a fire.
Yeah, I had a Hyundai back then, and they did an engine inspection. If it met a certain requirement, they replaced the entire engine for free. I'll be honest, I had 30,000 miles on the car, and I had my fingers crossed and replaced the motor because I got a brand new motor in it, but it was fine, so I didn't get it replaced.
So that sucks. That's not cool.
Yeah, it's not.
Just getting back over to the iPhone Apple thing. So I know we have an event coming up in June there, but there are already rumors of the next iPhone having a periscope lens, which I don't know if it's going to be called the iPhone 15 Pro Ultra, maybe. It potentially, who knows what the fucking name's going to be at this point. If they're calling their fucking headset the Reality One, I'm already out. But is it going to stop people? Do you think that's enough?
What do you mean? What's enough?
Out of periscope camera?
So here's the thing. Android and other manufacturers seem to innovate quicker. Before you start barking at me, they usually Android, like and Oppo and these Chinese companies, they put all kinds of crazy stuff out there, and then Samsung kind of slowly adopts it and makes it theirs, and then Apple takes the longest, but they usually perfect it. Yes, they brag about they invented it or they made it new, but either way, usually when they incorporate it in their hardware, it works pretty good. So I think the good thing for Apple is finally they're going to have good zoom, and people who own iPhones can actually have an option to zoom in if it does come to fruition. It's just going to push, for me as an Android user and an iPhone user, it's just going to push Android to the next thing. You know, I mean, Samsung has folding right now, folding unlock. iPhone will get there eventually. It's all going to. It's all.
Do you think they're going to go titanium like the Apple Watch Ultra?
Ceramic.
You reckon ceramic, eh?
Well, I think ceramic's a better material for a phone. Well, it depends on what they charge. If it's $5,000, I guess you can go off titanium or whatever you want to do. Platinum with diamonds.
I feel like ceramic will be good as well.
Does it come with a pinky ring?
I hope.
That's all I want.
It probably will do. It'll probably come in the box.
So I think the rumor is that it'll be a 5 or a 6 times optical zoom.
Sounds about right.
I'm willing to bet they go 6 just to one up the Pixel 7 Pro, which has a 5. I'm telling you.
I don't think Google has any. They're not a competition to Android or to Apple at all. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do something in between 5 or 6 because they don't want to go 10 because I don't know. They don't want to copy off Samsung. They're going to do 6X and it's 5 or 6X and it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I have no doubt that it's going to be good. I'm just curious to see what they do with the materials that they're talking about using because I mean. They're talking a lot of big ideas here. Solid state buttons, titanium, 6 times zoom. All right, Apple, like we see what you're doing. I mean, I would love for them to make an iPhone that matches the build quality of the Apple Watch Ultra, which I would argue is the best product that Apple's released in the last 10 years. As far as build quality goes and durability goes, it would be nice to see that, like pair up and, have that kind of parity there. But Apple being Apple, it'll probably be the same shit we got this year.
Well, I mean, they're probably due. They need to make a splash, and I think they're due for they're due for a hardware change, and I think that's okay. I'm again, like I said, because I had the old HTC U12 experience. I'm kind of on the fence about. I'm on the fence about the capacitive buttons and what I mean. The HTC didn't do a great job implementing it. It was a little not great on the U12 Plus. But again,
did you hear the rumor that they were thinking of replacing the silence switch with a programmable button?
Yeah, I heard that too.
Like our Apple, like is it gonna be like what Android has, where you could Apple will have a program to Siri or a mute or a flashlight.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably allow some kind of, maybe not a full customization, but they'll probably allow like 5 or 6 different apps that can be mapped to it. I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's okay. I mean, and here's the thing: everybody thought that everybody would flip and trip about the home button, and then we went to the capacitive button, and now they're Face ID. And it's like, Apple fans will adjust. I mean, you're gonna have the people that are gonna piss and moan and not do it, and they're gonna be, hey, you kids, get off my lawn. Why take away my home button? Because now I got to do this face thing, and I don't really like the face thing. But, then when they had the pandemic and people couldn't use a Face ID, Apple found a way to software engineer it and basically make it work. I mean, They
don't even think about it anymore.
They do things, and the problem is Apple is playing the long game because they know that everybody under 30 is going to be the new major consumer, and they're going to basically buy the iPhone people, and they're playing the long game, and I don't have a problem with that at all.
I feel like they won't get rid of it because the mute switch was on day 1 of the iPhone.
It's going to be a big kill.
In my opinion, if you get rid of something, just think about the huge amount of backlash Apple will receive if they kill that historic switch. I'm just saying.
I don't think Apple. I honestly don't think iPhone users give a fuck anymore about it.
No,
I'm just saying.
I mean, there'll be backlash, but they'll be, this is bullshit. Give me my
it's like this.
Well, like you said,
they took the headphone jack.
Yeah, we got over it. Yes,
they got over it.
They took TwizTwiz away, and now they have Face ID.
I mean, how many years is the
now we have these
headphone jack be gone? Right? I mean, what, 6-7 years? Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Apple knows this. When do Apple users, can they really realize that they have zero control over what Apple does? Can you just let that go? You're not going to tell I'm going to stand up and I'm not buying an iPhone 15 because it's got a no switch. Fuck you. They'll sell 200 million of them. And
what though? People are going to buy they're going to buy the iPhone and they're going to say, look, I'm switching. I'm a full-time Android user, and I'm switching to an iPhone.
Yeah.
And then they're going
to those videos are funny.
iPhone users have ceded the ground to fight back against Cupertino. You're not going to get anywhere anymore. They're going to do whatever they want. because you guys have made it possible for them to do so, because you will buy an iPhone regardless of what they do.
Right.
Because you know in the long term, you'll get over it.
Yeah, and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, technically.
It's true. Every iPhone user I know, they aren't using a fucking iPhone.
You know what's going to get Apple to stop doing something? The only way you're going to get Apple to stop doing something is to stop buying them. It's like any company. You stop buying products, they have to change. But no one's going to stop buying.
I know it sounds.
Is that why they killed the CD drive on like the MacBooks? How they just got rid of that?
Yeah.
Apple
that's it, right?
is going to make hardware and software changes at their will, at their discretion, and they know that no matter what they do, except stop making shit, then you won't sell it. They know, and that's what I'm saying. Let's look at it intellectually. I'm not trying to hack on Apple. I'm actually congratulating them for winning the marketing war.
Yeah.
They are the only company in the history of the earth that have got to a point where they can do everything they want. Well, sure, you're going to give me one thing out of a dozen things. And you can disagree with that statement. And I agree with the butterfly keyboard, but again, has any, and then of course they didn't make the pad, right? That didn't go anywhere. The home pad, fine. But right now, if Apple takes away that switch, right, they turn it into a programmable switch, do you honestly think they're not going to sell millions of units?
They're going to sell a lot. There's people going to say, I'm not going to buy it, and then be like, secretly go buy it.
So again, I understand that statement you might disagree with, and I appreciate Alexander's comment. But I'm telling you right now, every year that goes by and Apple becomes more and more and more a thing, do you think anybody who's 23 years old is going to give a shit about that Switch? And they're the ones who they're getting phones bought for them, and then guess what? In 5 years, they will be buying the phones, and they're not going to Android, they're not buying Samsung, and they're going to buy whatever iOS gives them.
If the iPhone 15, I'll probably purchase a 15 Pro, maybe, depending on the price, just because I want to experience it, because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm going to wait till they have a yellow version.
Yes, of course.
I want the banana version.
If it ain't yellow, I'm not buying.
Yeah, I'm sold on yellow. The commercials, the ads they have for the guy who touches the iPhone 14 in yellow and he starts turning into a cartoon character and walking down the street and taking pictures of everybody. That's what I want.
Is he like Bart Simpson or something, or is it just a yellow in general?
It's just the guy who turns it. It's weird.
I thought they could. Well, maybe that's a copyright problem. Maybe they just ask.
Stupid ad.
That's probably an idea.
It's stupid to us, but people buy that phone. I mean, they send the phones to reviewers just for that phone color. Because the iPhone 14, when it came out in yellow, totally changed everything. I mean, everything.
That's it. It's a brand new experience.
It's a huge experience.
Hey, well, listen.
As King I was like, I don't know.
As King would say, it probably looks like someone Tim Cook took a piss on it. I think that was another King quote there. At some
I don't
point
see him saying. He's pretty reserved. I don't think he'd.
King would never say that.
Yeah, he seems to be a very very B personality kind of guy.
God, he's not here right now.
Very reserved. I mean, look, between him and Roddy, it's always interesting here on the TNT podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, listen, guys, that actually brings us to the end of tonight's show. Thank you very much, Tuna, Sam, Iboni. Appreciate you guys being here tonight, and we will catch you guys hopefully on the next one next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. If it ain't Thursday, it'll be Sunday. It might be Monday. It could be fucking any day of the week. But we will let you know. Thursdays is the day for now. But stay tuned. Sunday night shit show, just as popular.
Or Tuesday Night Thunder, or Thursday Night Thursday.
It could be anything. I know we're going to call it SNT. I think that was
basically what it comes down to is we're going to be doing a podcast every day that ends in Y. So
exactly, that's true. That's it.
Might
Perfect.
as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. On that note, thank you very much, guys. Catch you on the next one. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.